What I'm about to tell you isn't just celebrity gossip. It's not just another Hollywood feud. This is potentially criminal. This is dangerous, and it's unfolding in real time. According to multiple law enforcement sources, 3 unidentified men, described by neighbors as intimidating, professional, and not from around here, were arrested late Tuesday night just outside the Beverly Hills estate of viral sensation and social media mogul King Harris. And here's where it gets chilling. Police say these men were allegedly surveilling the property for over 90 minutes. And their target? Not King Harris himself, but his boyfriend, rising model and LGBTQ+ advocate, Jalen Reed. Now here's the bombshell that's got the entire internet on fire. Whispers are swirling that these men were hired and that the person who allegedly put the hit out, none other than hip-hop legend, entrepreneur, and repeat offender, Clifford or T.I. Harris. Why? What could possibly drive a man with Grammys, a clothing line, and a reality TV empire to allegedly orchestrate something this reckless? Was it business? Was it ego? Was it revenge? And most importantly, is there enough evidence to connect T.I. directly to this operation? Because if there is, this might not just be a scandal. It might be the beginning of the end of T.I.'s freedom. Stick with me because we're diving deep into the timeline, the motive, the history, and the terrifying implications of what may have gone down outside King Harris's gates. Let's start with the facts, as confirmed by LAPD sources who spoke to us off the record. At approximately 11:17 p.m. on Tuesday, March 26th, Beverly Hills PD received an anonymous tip. A neighbor reported suspicious activity near the Harris residence, specifically a blacked-out 2021 Chevy Suburban, no plates, idling near the private guard gate for nearly 2 hours. When officers arrived, they found 3 men inside, all in their late 20s to early 30s, dressed in all-black tactical gear, no IDs, and refusing to answer questions. Here's what police recovered: 3 pairs of latex gloves, 2 rolls of industrial zip ties, 3 prepaid burner phones, a printed map of the neighborhood with King Harris's home circled, and most disturbingly, a single photograph of Jalen Reed exiting a West Hollywood gym dated just 2 days prior. One officer described the scene as professional, premeditated, and chillingly quiet. Now let's be clear, possession of gloves and zip ties isn't illegal, but context matters. When you combine those items with surveillance of a private residence, refusal to identify yourself, and GPS data placing you at the home of a celebrity whose partner you've allegedly been instructed to handle, that's not just suspicious, that's felony-level planning. According to our sources, the men were taken into custody for loitering with intent to commit a crime and failure to identify. But here's the kicker. When detectives pulled the metadata from the burner phones, they found encrypted messages referencing "the package" and "client wants confirmation" by sunrise. One text sent at 9:44 p.m. read, "Boyfriend leaves for spin class at 7 a.m. We move at 6:30. The recipient? A number traced back to a shell corporation that just so happens to share an accountant with T.I.'s Grand Hustle Entertainment. Coincidence? Possibly, but when you layer that on top of eyewitness testimony from a studio assistant who claims to have seen one of the arrested men, later identified as Marcus Lee DeLeon, leaving T.I.'s Atlanta recording compound just 5 hours before the stakeout, the narrative starts to tighten like a noose. Before we dive into T.I.'s alleged involvement, let's talk about the man who was reportedly in the crosshairs, Jalen Reed. At 24, Jalen is more than just King Harris's partner. He's a force in his own right. Signed to IMG Models, a vocal advocate for queer youth of color, and the founder of Read the Room, a nonprofit that provides safe housing for LGBTQ teens rejected by their families. He's beloved, he's visible, and according to insiders, he recently made a decision that may have put a target on his back. 2 weeks ago, Jalen was offered a lucrative brand ambassador deal with T.I.'s new athleisure line, Hustle Fit. The offer? $250,000 for 6 months of social promotion and 2 runway appearances. But Jalen turned it down, publicly. On Instagram Live, he said, "I don't align with brands that profit off trauma without investing back into the community. I've seen the receipts, and HustleFit's charity donations are performative at best." Ouch. Sources close to T.I. say the rapper was furious, not just because of the lost revenue, but because Jalen's comments went viral, sparking a wave of scrutiny into HustleFit's actual charity impact. Sales dipped 18% in 72 hours. And then things got personal. At an industry party in Miami, T.I. allegedly confronted Jalen in a hallway, saying, "You don't know what you're messing with, pretty boy. Fame ain't armor." Jalen walked away, but not before whispering to a friend, "He's threatened me. Document everything." Fast forward, last week, King Harris posted a cryptic tweet. "Some people think love is weakness. They're about to learn it's armor." Fans didn't think much of it then. Now it reads like a warning. So let's connect the dots. Business slight? Check. Public humiliation? Check. Personal threat? Check. Motive? Crystal clear. Was T.I. trying to scare Jalen into silence? Was this a kidnapping to force a retraction? Or worse, was this meant to send a message to King Harris himself? Because in celebrity circles, going after someone's partner is the ultimate power play. It says, "I can reach you anywhere, even in your sanctuary." To understand why this allegation feels terrifyingly plausible, you need to understand T.I.'s history. This isn't a man who shies away from confrontation, legal, physical, or psychological. Let's rewind. In 2007, T.I. was arrested for federal weapons charges after trying to buy machine guns and silencers. He served 11 months. In 2010, he violated probation by testing positive for opiates. Back to prison for 11 more months. In 2020, he and his wife Tiny were accused by multiple women of holding them against their will during spiritual counseling sessions. Allegations they denied, but which sparked FBI investigations. And in 2022, he threatened a music executive on Instagram Live, saying, "I know where you sleep. Don't make me come turn your lights out." The exec filed a restraining order. T.I. called it poetic expression. This is a man who equates control with respect, who sees dissent as betrayal, who has time and again used his platform, his connections, and his temper to silence critics. And now, he's allegedly graduated from social media threats to hiring physical operatives. Why? Because in 2024, cancel culture doesn't scare him, but a crumbling empire does. HustleFit is floundering, his podcast ratings are down, his comeback album is delayed, and a 24-year-old model just exposed his charity as a sham. To T.I., that's not criticism, it's war. Legal analysts we spoke to say if prosecutors can prove T.I. financed or directed the surveillance, he could face conspiracy to commit kidnapping, up to 20 years, interstate stalking, 5 years, violation of probation, mandatory minimum 1 year, and given his record, he'd be looking at the high end of every sentence. Worse,
The feds are reportedly now reviewing whether this constitutes a hate crime. Jalen Reed is Black, gay, and an activist. Targeting him could trigger enhanced penalties under the Matthew Shepard Act. This isn't just about T.I. anymore. It's about sending a message to every marginalized voice that speaks truth to power. Now, let's get technical, because right now this case hinges on 3 things: digital evidence, financial trails, and alibis. Starting with the phones, LAPD cyber unit cracked one burner, revealing a signal chat between Rook and a contact labeled PH. Messages include PH, package secured, Rook, negative, guard shift change at midnight, moving to plan B. PH, client wants eyes on boyfriend, no contact until green light. Who's PH? Police believe it's Pap Harris, T.I.'s longtime alias. Then there's the money.
$15,000 was wired to Rook's offshore account 3 days before the stakeout. The sender? A Belize-based LLC called Southern Crown Holdings. Public records show Southern Crown's registered agent is the same law firm that handles T.I.'s publishing rights. Again, not proof, but a pattern. T.I.'s alibi? He claims he was in the studio all night recording with producer Zaytoven. But studio logs show Zaytoven left at 9 p.m. Security footage shows T.I. alone from 9:30 p.m. to 1 a.m., right when the Goons were parked outside King's house. And get this, at 10:48 p.m., T.I. made a 7-minute call to a number linked to Rook's cousin. T.I. says it was about beats. Detectives say it's the last call Rook received before heading to Beverly Hills. Meanwhile, King Harris and Jalen Reed have been moved to a secure location. King posted on Instagram, "We're safe. Thank you for the prayers. Truth doesn't stay buried." He didn't tag T.I., he didn't accuse anyone, but the subtext is deafening. The fallout has been nuclear. Cardi B tweeted, "If this is true, that's evil. Protect queer Black men." Killer Mike, "We don't do this in hip-hop, ever." Even T.I.'s former protege, Iggy Azalea, posted, "Praying for Jalen. No one deserves to be hunted." Brands are fleeing. Nike paused his sneaker collab, Revolt TV canceled his interview series, and Spotify removed his podcast from curated playlists. But fans? They're divided. Hashtag T.I. team is screaming setup, claiming King Harris staged this for clout. Others point out King Harris has $50 million in the bank and 8 million followers. Why risk his life for views? The more compelling theory? T.I. is being framed by a rival. Maybe Diddy, maybe 50 Cent. Both have beef with T.I., but neither has motive to target Jalen Reed specifically. Legally, next steps are clear. Grand jury convenes in 10 days to review evidence. If indicted, T.I. faces arraignment within 72 hours. Bail? Unlikely. Flight risk plus violent allegations equals remand. His lawyer, Drew Finley, released a statement. "Mr. Harris is innocent. These are baseless allegations fueled by media sensationalism. We will prove his whereabouts and dismantle this fiction in court." But prosecutors have one ace in the hole. Rook is reportedly cooperating. In exchange for immunity, he's prepared to testify that T.I. personally handed him Jalen's photo and said, "Make him understand consequences." If that testimony holds up, game over. This story isn't just about celebrities, it's about power, about what happens when fame shields abuse, about how queer Black men are targeted when they dare to speak up. Jalen Reed didn't just reject a brand, he rejected exploitation. And if these allegations are true, he nearly paid for that integrity with his safety. T.I. built his legacy on King of the South bravado, but kings who rule through fear, they always fall, whether in courtrooms or in history books.
So what now? We wait, we watch, we demand accountability. Because if the system fails here, if money and fame let T.I. walk away from this, what message does that send to every marginalized person fighting for their voice? Drop your theories below. Is T.I. guilty? Framed? Or is there a third player we're missing?